Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 431 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. How are you? How's your August going? I am doing well. It's been a very interesting energy. I know we're coming into almost the middle of August, and summer is sure going fast. And I tell you, there's a lot of energy ramping up right now. I don't know if you're the sensitive empath who can feel it, but it's been very interesting. Anyways, very different topic. I have had so many requests for the topic of episode that I am going to do right now. And I've helped so many women with this particular topic, whether it's been directly that they've reached out for this issue or it's been indirectly. And then the bonuses is we do all the healing with all the other things. It's resolved itself. And I thought I would do a whole episode today on skin and the root causes of your acne and skin breakouts, whether it's eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, hormonal acne. We're going to dive into all the different things about skin breakouts and reactions and why you're still having them. I'm also going to dive into 5 Bandaid quick fixes that make skin worse or don't really help resolve the root issues. And what are the first steps that we can take? So we're going to dive into all of that today. I've had some really incredible, resolution with skin issues with clients. And there is a lot that we can do naturally to clear the skin, regardless of how long you've been struggling. It's only the odd, rare case that, takes quite a while, but I've seen results in as little as weeks with clearing up skin. So it's exciting. So we're going to dive into all of that right away. A couple of key announcements, of course. Be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with anyone you think can benefit from it. The show notes for today's episode, the show notes for today's episode, which will include the link to sign up for the 3-part skin masterclass, which I'm offering August 29th, 30th, and 31st, is available at amberapproved.ca/podcast/431, as well as all the other details from today. I will talk a little bit more about the skin masterclass later in today's episode. But obviously, if you want the details, you can just go click, or you can go right to amberapproved.ca and click online programs. And it's at the very top if you want all the details and to sign up yourself and secure your spot. And of course, if what I'm sharing today is resonating with you and you want to get to the roots of your skin issues, you're curious if you have hormone imbalances, you want to get to the root of your gut imbalances. Maybe for you, what is amplifying your symptoms is the emotional eating, the binging and purging. And what's below that is like not feeling good enough, feeling insecure, the people pleasing, the perfection, the all or nothing mentality. And you're really wanting to take steps, whether it's in more of an intro program for like 2 or 3 months, or you want to go into something longer, like 6 or 12 months. This is where one-on-one support is something I highly encourage you to explore and consider. And so, of course, as I always say, if you're wanting to reach out and talk about support, you can go to amberapproved.ca, click schedule a consultation. Of course, there's the body freedom consultation, which is what most of you select. And if you're a female business owner who's also wanting support with burnout, putting yourself last, your business is running you instead of you running your business, and you want help getting out there, growing and thriving, there is the Biz Freedom consultation as well. So you can decide whatever feels best for you, of course, those of you that have businesses versus those of you that don't. But I work with all kinds of women who are dealing with these skin issues, these hormone issues, these gut issues, etc. So just wanted to remind you that that is available, and it is life-changing support. So if you're finding a specific eating style isn't working for you, you're dealing with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, you suspect your hormones are off, self-care continues to be a problem for you, you're sensitive, empath, and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on, I don't even know where to start. Well, we're diving into the habits and mindsets to help set you on a different path, and you are in the right place. So without further ado, let's dive into the root causes of your acne and skin breakouts. So I have had countless women reach out, like I said earlier, whether directly or indirectly with skin issues. And it's a lot of the same things that I see cropping up that are fueling skin breakouts, acne, cystic acne, whatever kind of acne it is, eczema, rosacea, and psoriasis. And so the first thing that I want to do is I want to break down the physical imbalances that I see normally that are amplifying whatever these skin breakout or reactions are that you're having. And then we're going to get into behavior and mindsets. And then we're going to get into the nervous system and how this is all kind of fueling and impacting on this part. So do you have skin breakouts? How long have you had them for? Where are your breakouts? Do you have eczema, rosacea, psoriasis? Where are you experiencing this? Obviously, rosacea is like in the cheeks. It's usually a redness in the cheeks. And that is the inflammation, right? That itchy redness with the eczema that feels like a rash and you just want to itch it. But the more you itch it, the worse it gets, right? Inflammation is part of that too. So one of the first imbalances in the body that I see fueling any kind of skin reaction or breakout is that there is inflammation going on. And as I'm always talking about in the podcast, inflammation shows up in the signs of redness, swelling, heat, or pain. And in this case, it's like the redness, the heat, the itch, right? Like all of that. Some people can feel the area can get swollen, especially after they pick it or scratch it. But inflammation is a key culprit. And there's many things that fuel inflammation, from emotional eating to the overwhelmed nervous system to high cortisol to leaky gut and poor gut health to poor detoxification, to heavy metals, to gut flora issues, bacteria, fungal overgrowths, right? A lot of suppressed anger and frustration transmutes into the physical symptom of inflammation if we hold on to and hang on to a lot of suppressed emotion. So our symptoms are never just physical, but this is like the physical experience of you having the symptom. So if you have cystic acne or you have breakouts on your face and they're very red, right? Or your psoriasis or eczema is really red, or the rosacea, that's all signs of inflammation. Eating a lot of inflammatory foods, seed oils, refined sugar, aspartame, MSG. Some are very sensitive, especially here in North America, to wheat and dairy. And that's because the gluten content is increased 400%. And there's all these pesticides sprayed on the crops. And we're actually reacting to the pesticides because they're literally toxic. So there's all of that that can be going on, that can fuel inflammation. So inflammation amplifies the redness, the swelling, the heat part of these breakouts. And, you know, I think it's so important, and I'm going to touch on this in the 5 Bandaid quick fixes that make skin worse, that we don't do anything extreme. I don't suggest going on any extreme diets or hopping on some extreme protocol to resolve this, because in my 10 years of practice and doing a lot of healing myself, I just find the body doesn't like extreme. At least extreme isn't my way. And if you want extreme, I'm not your gal. But I hope you can keep an open mind, because the body just doesn't fare well under extreme. And there's very rare circumstances, like maybe if someone's really unwell and it's very serious and they have to make a change really fast. But if you're struggling with things like emotional eating, binge eating, or food addiction, and you are trying to make extreme changes, especially with food, that can trigger more binging and loss of control with food. So inflammation is the first thing that fuels all of this. Poor detoxification. So if your liver is overburdened, if you're taking a lot of medications, and I know sometimes we need them, but like, you know, one of the quick fix Bandaid approaches is the birth control pill to help clear skin, but then it just does a lot of havoc on the liver and a lot of other things. But if our liver is overwhelmed, if we're consuming a lot of alcohol, refined sugar, we're putting a lot of toxic ingredients on our skin that then have to filter through the liver, we're not drinking enough water, you're not having daily bowel movements, your lymphatic system is sluggish. If our detox systems are sluggish and slow and overburdened, the overspill can come out through the skin and can contribute to the toxicity in the skin, in the pores, fueling the eczema, the breakouts, etc. So poor detox systems are part of that. Hormone imbalances. So I have a lot of women that come to me and they're like, I think I have hormonal acne. I think it's hormonal. I'm having it on my cheeks. And yes, one of the signs of hormonal acne can be the cheeks or the jawline. However, that's not actually necessarily the only thing that is contributing. And in the Skin 3-part Masterclass, we're actually going to dive deep into skin mapping. And I'm going to talk in depth about the different areas of the cheeks, the face, the forehead, the nose, the chin, the neck, the back, the chest, etc. And if we're having breakouts or reactions in these areas, what they likely mean. And it is a lot more than hormone imbalance. And I know a lot of you specifically say, I think my testosterone's high and that's why I'm having these breakouts. And yes, for some of you, that may be the case. And when I did the episode last week, 430, on how emotional eating is fueling PCOS, well, you can have testosterone dominating acne and elevated testosterone as part of that PCOS picture. However, it's interesting. Most of the women that I've worked with don't actually have high testosterone that is contributing to their skin breakouts. But that definitely is a factor. And there's things we can do to reduce and regulate your testosterone naturally so that if that is part of what's contributing, it doesn't have to, because when we have elevated testosterone in the pores, our sebum produce more oil. And so if we have more oily skin and our pores are really oily, we can trap more bacteria and dirt, and that fuels the inflammation and fuels the breakouts. So ideally, we don't want high testosterone because that will fuel the more oily skin and create more of that. But I rarely see it being testosterone dominant acne. There's usually other hormone imbalances that are contributing more. So I'll talk more about the nervous system and cortisol shortly, but I find that that's actually more of a culprit. However, we want to look at what specific hormone imbalances are going on for you that are contributing to your skin breakouts, your eczema, your rosacea, etc. And I'll touch more on that when I get to the nervous system. Gut health. So when we have unhappy guts, unhappy tummies, and this doesn't necessarily mean you're bloated. So I have clients say, well, I don't have bloating. I don't have gut issues. And I say, well, not necessarily. If you're having these breakouts, if you're having the eczema, if you're having the rosacea, you don't have to have bloating to have digestive issues. It can be that you don't have any actual symptoms in your digestive region, but you have skin issues, you have brain fog, you have low energy, you have excess sugar cravings. It doesn't necessarily mean that the symptoms have to be situated in the digestive system themselves. And for some of you, you may have bloating, you may be really gassy, you may have pain and cramping and a lot of discomfort. And those obviously are signs that part of that is digestive health. But when we have an overwhelmed liver, if we're eating too fast, not chewing our food properly, we're not breaking our food down properly in the stomach because our stomach acid's too low. If we have leaky gut, which is where the intestinal lining gets compromised and small bits of foods and bacteria are leaking out into the bloodstream, and then the immune system's attacking it as a foreign invader to get it out of the body. If we have gut flora issues, if you had to take a lot of antibiotics, eaten a lot of sugar, drank a lot of alcohol, had high stress levels, etc., this can all compromise our gut health, and this can all fuel breakouts, reactions, inflammation, the eczema, psoriasis, acne, etc. And this used to be a big thing for me when I was struggling with binge eating. I was eating such large amounts of sugar, processed baked goods, etc. And I noticed that I would binge, and then a few days later, my skin would break out like crazy, especially around my chin area, the sides of my chin, the middle, that whole area. And a lot of that was tied to the unhealthy gut bacteria that I was constantly feeding with all this processed food that then was breaking out and showing up on my skin. And it used to be really bad. Of course, if we have hormone imbalances, to touch on that one again, and you're breaking out, roughly a week before your cycle, there is a tie to gut flora, hormone imbalance, and nervous system. And I'm going to talk more about cycle-related breakouts in the 3-part masterclass. So if you want to come and join us for the 3-part skin masterclass, you can go to amberapproved.ca/podcast/431 in the banner. You can just click the banner that says skin, go and sign up. It's $55 USD, regular $88. So it's on for early bird right now. And you get access to 3 90-minute live sessions, as well as a bonus interview about simple, healthy, natural skincare routines with the CEO of Rocky Mountain Soap Company, our good friend Karina Birch, who debunks myths about oily versus dry skin and how easy and simple a natural face and body care routine can be, and that we don't actually need a lot of products. So you get instant access to that as soon as you sign up for the 3-part skin masterclass. So you can watch that now. And then, of course, we're going to go live August 29th, 30th, and 31st. If you can't come live, you get lifetime access to the replays. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to go really in depth into all the things I'm talking about today and a lot more. So be sure to come and join us or share it with a friend if you know someone that you think that this could really help, because this is just about me getting the information out there, helping to open you up to hope and reassurance that there's a lot we can do. And it's really about, finding the unique root causes that are going on for you. But when we have gut health issues and we have hormone imbalances, we can see certain times of the months where skin breakouts can happen more specifically. If we're using a lot of toxic skincare products, okay, because we're absorbing things into our skin in 25 seconds or less. And it's definitely true. And the more you clean up your toxic body care and you go more natural, if you have something with toxins, I can literally taste it in my mouth within a few seconds. It's crazy, but it's good. It's good for the body to be aware and in tune. But if we're putting all these toxins on our skin, they fuel inflammation. some of this toxicity gets stuck in our pores. It, mixes with that unhealthy bacteria, and it fuels that redness. It fuels the breakouts. It fuels more reactions with the eczema and things like that. So starting to clean up our body care and skincare is really important for helping with our skin. It's not necessarily about adding more products. It's about simplifying and looking at the ingredients in what you're currently using, and making sure that we have a simple yet great face, washing our face and having clean pillowcases and stuff like that. But usually it goes a lot deeper than, those kinds of hygiene practices for most people, because there's these internal imbalances going on. Poor quality food. So I've kind of mentioned this, but refined sugar, greasy fast foods, aspartame, MSG, fake dyes, all the junk, toxic, lab-made crap, essentially, that they put in your food. For some, it's gluten and dairy. I've had women who have come to me who decide on their own, of course, and I give recipes and food product recommendations, but they're like, I think I want to try swapping, some of my wheat and dairy for gluten and dairy free. And then their skin starts to clear up, or we help them heal their relationship with food, and then the skin starts to clear up. So it's different for everybody, but I do find the more junk we're consuming, the more it fuels the inflammation, the poor gut health, the hormone imbalances, is stressing out the body. The body can handle a little bit of an amount for balance and mindful indulgence. However, if we're consuming it regularly, the toxicity builds up, the inflammation builds up, and it ends up becoming an issue, and it fuels these symptoms that are nagging at us that we don't want. And I know that it can really be a hit on your confidence if you're having the acne and you think everyone's just staring at your skin. It can feel really aggravating to have eczema on your face or on your hands or your scalp or your legs or your back, right? These are not comfortable things. And so I think it's really important to understand that I know that this doesn't just impact you physically, it impacts you emotionally. And the more angry and frustrated you get at your body, because your body's trying to communicate with you that there are things going on, right? The more the body reacts, because the more of a stress response you go into, the more inflamed you get, the more your body reacts back. And this masterclass, right? If you're a guy and you want to come and hang out with us, you're welcome to. I'm opening up to that this is for men and women, because men can have acne and breakouts and eczema as well. My love went through a bad bout of eczema, and a huge part of what was tied to it was overwhelmed nervous system, high stress levels, gut flora issues, and hormone imbalances. And as we started working on shifting it, it cleared up. But of course, he went to the doctor, and the doctor wanted to give him steroid cream and antibiotics, and essentially belittled him and just was like, oh, you're going to just have to deal with this. And it's like, no, you're not going to just have to deal with it. And no, antibiotics aren't going to help it. And I'm going to get into that right away. And oh, great, steroid cream, that's not going to do anything. It just band-aids the surface, but doesn't address the roots, and then it keeps coming back. And I've seen these kinds of experiences with many, and I'll talk about a few of them as I go into the different quick fixes that make the skin worse. But the poor quality foods, and I'll touch on emotional eating right away, all of this just fuels the fire of what we don't want. Some will have a vitamin A deficiency, and if we have vitamin A deficiency, again, the skin can get more oily, and that can contribute to more of our issues. And so, adding in more vitamin A rich foods and things like that can be really helpful to help just slightly, I don't even want to say dry out the skin, but to just help balance the moisture levels of the skin, so that we're not in the extreme of too dry or then too oily. And Karina talks about that in the bonus interview for the 3-part masterclass. When we talk about healthy, natural skincare routines, she talks about dry versus oily skin and debunks myths around what each need and what are the best for each, but just certain things that we've heard that aren't necessarily true that might be hurting your skin more than helping. So that it's going to be something you're going to get access to right away. So let's talk a bit about behaviors and mindsets that fuel these skin issues. So emotional eating, binge eating, food addiction. Okay. There's many reasons for this. Number one, we're overeating and over-consuming, usually processed foods like sugar, gluten, dairy, fast food, MSG, aspartame, etc. laden products that we're over-consuming. So we are over-consuming and fueling inflammation. We are stressing out our digestion. We're increasing our chances of leaky gut. We're feeding unhealthy gut bacteria. We're overwhelming our detoxification systems that have to try and work through breaking down and eliminating the toxicity in this food. We are ramping up our nervous systems because now we're stressed and we're emotionally heightened in guilt, anger, frustration, sadness, etc., because we just self-sabotaged with food, or we're highly stressed out. The body has a hard time eliminating all of this, as the body would if it was just like regular eating through the day. It messes up our hormones. It gives us more cravings, throws off the blood sugar, increases sugar and carb cravings, etc. And then as that's happening, then we want to eat more sugar, and eating more of that processed sugar fuels inflammation, feeds unhealthy bacteria, flares the skin up more. And it's just this vicious cycle. And then you get into the trying to diet and restrict and the all or nothing mentality. And then you're throwing everything out the window and you're going into self-sabotage. So this whole cycle stresses out your nervous system, shoots your cortisol through the roof, which can mess up your other hormones, fuels inflammation, fuels leaky gut, fuels bloating. Okay. And all of this are symptoms I was just talking about pertaining to the physical imbalances that fuel skin breakouts and issues. The more emotional eating, the more unhealthy gut bacteria, the more inflammation, the more hormone imbalances, the easier it is to see things like eczema, rosacea, skin breakouts, all of these things I'm talking about. I'll just refer to them as skin issues, right? They get amplified. And for some people, it is more skin issues that are more their sounding board. For some, it's digestive issues and bloating. Some, it's brain fog and low energy. For some, it's headaches and migraines. Like there's different things that each of us will have that will flare up if the body's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I'm trying to get your attention and show you where something's off. Are you willing to look at it and investigate it? So this is where, if you are someone who is dealing with emotional eating, binge eating, or food addiction, I'm sending you so much love and compassion. Try to be kind and gentle with yourself. Try to not be too ashamed and embarrassed. You're not alone, and there's a lot that can be done to help you heal. So if you're one of these, women or men listening, and you're really wanting to heal your relationship with food and you want to claim food and body freedom, I encourage you to take that next step, which is booking a 30-minute body freedom consultation so we can talk about you and what's going on, what isn't working, your goals, where you want to be in a year, right? What's holding you back, and why this approach could be something that could really be beneficial for you. Regardless of what you're working on healing, if you're struggling with emotional eating, binge eating, etc., it is vital and crucial that you get support or work on healing your relationship with food, because it is amplifying all of your other health issues. And if we just try to supplement our way or meal plan or diet our way out of skin issues or gut issues or hormone imbalances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, when we have this root cause that is amplifying the inflammation and everything else, that is going to continue. Okay. And then you're spending a lot of money on vitamins and protocols that aren't working. Like I always say, you end up with really expensive pee, and then your skin's still breaking out and you're pissed off because that's not clearing, but you're not addressing one of the emotional mindset behaviors, which is the emotional binge food addiction piece. So important to heal. So if you have been kind of dancing around dealing with that, but deep down that it's really important to deal with, I really encourage you to take an action step forward, reach out for support from whoever you feel called to, and the door is open if you want to come and chat with me. Because what's below this is unworthiness, not feeling good enough, feeling insecure. And we want to deal with that unworthiness because it's going to continue to amplify your symptoms and your breakouts. The other root of this, another kind of behavior, self-sabotage, is not feeling good enough. So you're people pleasing, you're proving, you're in the perfection all or nothing mentality, and you're overbooking to try and get validation that you're good enough. And this is really important for us to address, because the more stressed your nervous system, the more overwhelmed you are, the higher your cortisol levels get, the more cortisol and adrenaline you're flooding through your body, because your amygdala in the brain's it's that fight or flight center, and it's just constantly going off. And if that is occurring for you and your cortisol is potentially through the roof, which I find almost every single woman I've worked with that has skin issues, their cortisol is really high. And if the cortisol is really high, we have more fatigue, more brain fog, we feel more puffy, more inflamed, our digestion can be more sensitive. And I see more redness with these skin breakouts, the eczema, things like that. And so it's so important to deal with the overbooking, the people pleasing, the perfection, the all or nothing mentality, because it is fueling cortisol issues, which is fueling inflammation, which is fueling these imbalances that I've been talking about here that will continue until we address the roots. Yes, there's some things you can do to get relief for sure while we're working on regulating your nervous system, healing your relationship with food. And I really just encourage you to stop band-aiding and quick fixing. And if it's obviously it's not intentional that you're like, I just want to quick fix my way, but if we can provide the education here to help you understand the depth of this, and then you can take the steps, whether it's on your own, or I highly encourage you to get support, because there's just certain things to try and self-diagnose and Google and, go on your own protocol can sometimes do more harm than good. And I've seen that with women who've reached out to me and went through those own personal experiences before I learned anything myself. But obviously you're going to do this the way that feels best for you. But when we're in that state, cortisol's high, we're feeling the redness, we're feeling the reactions, and it's really hard for the body to heal. And it's hard for those breakouts to go away because the system is overwhelmed and overstimulated. So we have cortisol, we have the fight or flight. This fuels inflammation, fuels stress in the body, and that fuels flare-ups with the eczema, the breakouts, etc. Now, of course, we also have going on really restrictive diets and trying really restrictive eating styles to help you, right, clear your skin, quote unquote. But we should never have to go on any really restrictive protocol to help the body heal, because it's not realistic and it's not something that is necessarily easy to do through our life while we live life, and no one should ever feel restricted. So I think it's really important that we don't rely on restrictive diets to help with this, and that instead what we do is we actually go, okay, well, what are the root causes of all of this? What's actually fueling my skin issues? And what you're going to see is that it's going to take more than cutting out a bunch of stuff. It's not about cutting out a bunch of stuff. You can certainly swap certain, poor quality ingredients for better ones, because I'm much more of an advocate for that. However, dealing with the emotional eating, dealing with the overwhelm, dealing with the people pleasing, dealing with the low self-worth, the chasing the number on the scale, the fighting with your body, right? Working on gently supporting your digestive system, balancing hormones, those things to me are far more important than just slapping on a quick fix. But it is important for us to address the roots emotionally, energetically, and physically, because these are the things that are amplifying the skin breakouts and continuing to have them recur, right? So let's talk about 5 Band-Aid quick fixes that make skin worse. And so I've had so many women reach out that are like, I went on the pill and then I came off of it, and then my skin kind of cleared, but then it came back way worse. I took these antibiotics, it temporarily cleared up, and then the skin breakouts got worse. I took the steroid cream, my eczema settled, but as soon as I stop using it, then it comes back 10 times worse, right? Like this is just kind of the dialogue and the narrative. So and I'm going to touch really in depth on all of these in the 3-part skin masterclass. So if you want to hear even more, like tenfold what I'm talking about today, make sure you come and join us. amberproof.ca online programs. You'll be able to click skin, or you can go to the show notes, amberproof.ca/podcast/431. But the first quick fix is the birth control pill. Unfortunately, with all due respect to Western medicine and people making recommendations, a lot of them don't address the root. They're just Band-Aid quick fixes. And I think people are really starting to wake up to that now, and that they don't really do the trick, and they're just suppressing and masking our symptoms. So the pill will suppress testosterone, right? And so women will see the skin temporarily clear because maybe their testosterone was a bit up, that was making the skin more oily and contributing to the breakouts. So it'll suppress testosterone. However, as soon as you come off of it, the testosterone levels skyrocket up, and that will make the skin more oily and fuels worse breakouts. Also, it's hard on the liver. The birth control pill feeds the unhealthy gut bacteria, and that all fuels and contributes to the skin breakouts or eczema as well. Okay, so this is why I'm not an advocate for using the pill for this. There's so many other natural things we can use that won't be so much of a detriment. And there's a lot of new information coming out about some of the hazards of the birth control pill. And I get it. Some women will obviously use it for their preference of choice for birth control. However, it's just very risky. Some of the health effects and side effects of it now. The second of the quick fixes is antibiotics. Gosh, they just want to throw antibiotics at us like they're candy. And my issue with this is that sometimes we do need them. I've had to take some myself for different infections and things, and they are important to kill off bacteria and infection. Okay. It is given. Sometimes we have to take them. However, the problem is there will be times where they will say, well, we don't fully know if you have the infection, like a UTI or whatever, but here, just take these just in case. And you may not even have something going on. And all these antibiotics are killing the good and the bad bacteria. They kill everything. They really negatively impact the immune system. And then what ends up happening is you're not taught how to rebalance your gut flora, how to put the good bacteria back in. And yes, probiotics can be helpful, but there's still this unhealthy bacteria to deal with. And there's many components of what impact and fuel that unhealthy bacteria. And it's not just as cut and dry as cutting out a bunch of foods to deal with it. It's deeper than that. And I'm going to talk more about that in the Skin Masterclass. So you take antibiotics to clear your skin. Maybe it temporarily gets better because you're using antibiotics to kill the unhealthy bacteria that is fueling the skin issue. But as soon as you stop using them, the unhealthy bacteria just takes over worse and the breakouts get worse. Compromises your gut health, okay, fuels the eczema. Antibiotics fuel the inflammation because once the unhealthy bacteria takes over tenfold, it's stressing out your nervous system. It's stressing out your gut. It is stress on the body that fuels this redness, swelling, heat, pain, this inflammation. So what I always walk my clients through as we are dealing with these things is we want to gently detox the body of the birth control pill. We want to gently, balance the gut flora and take a few months to do these things, because once they do, it's clear for good. And that is what is so incredible. And if something goes a little bit off, they know what they need to do to recalibrate and have the skin, be relieved of their symptoms, which is so awesome. So sometimes we need antibiotics, 100%. However, it's that we're not taught what to do after antibiotics, and antibiotics can impact many other things and kind of feel this domino effect of imbalance. Okay. So steroid creams are the third quick fix. They just suppress the immune system and suppress the inflammation temporarily. So things like eczema, breakouts, cystic acne, etc. And then once you stop using it, it usually flares up even worse. Okay. So these topical creams and these topical applications, especially if they are prescriptions, are not addressing the root because they're just staying so surface level. When we want to go inward and go, what's fueling the inflammation? What is stressing out my immune system? What is stressing out my nervous system? What is causing this breakout, this reaction? Yes, it's showing up externally on my body. This is the external symptom of the internal imbalance going on. But what exactly is going on? That is it just temporarily covers it up, right? And I get it. You know what? Some of you may use these because you need temporary relief. Of course, you are your own advocate and you're going to do what feels best for you on your journey. And if you're ready to be able to address the roots and really dig deep and deal with these things, and you want to have a conversation around that, let's have one. Trust me, before I knew anything about natural health, half these things I tried, right? Because I had skin issues and they never worked. And I was just doing what I was doing based on what I knew. And it's just so innocent. You just want relief. I want you to have relief. But if you're trying these things and they're not working, it's not you and it's not your fault. It's because you have not been properly educated and been provided with the proper recommendations or a thorough assessment of your health, hormones, gut health, etc., to figure out what are the roots fueling this for you. And then what do you ideally want to uniquely do to address it? Okay. So another one that is a Bandaid is called spironolactone. Okay. So it's a potassium sparing diuretic that prevents your body from absorbing too much salt and keeps your potassium levels from getting too low. And it's used, though it's been being used a lot. So it's used to treat high blood pressure, but it's now being used for skin. So what I'm seeing is that it's being used to reduce or prevent testosterone levels from getting higher. However, what happens when you come off of it? Well, just like with the birth control, you block testosterone receptors, right? With taking this spironolactone, and inhibits your body from making androgens, which testosterone can become that if we have too high levels of testosterone. However, once you come off of it, these levels can come back up. So instead of just masking it with spironolactone, okay, address the roots of why your testosterone are high in the first place. And do you even know if your testosterone's high? Just having someone look at you and go, yeah, your testosterone's probably high, take this pill. That's not good enough. I want you to request thorough testing and proof that it's actually what you need. And what's more important is that there's actually a lot more we can do to regulate your testosterone and reduce the high level of oils. We just need to see what's going on. Okay. So another quick fix just masks it, whether it's topical, spironolactone, or you're taking a pill. Once you come off of it, it will come back. It just flares back up. It's just suppressing the symptom rather than addressing it and resolving it. And the last quick fix is, to me, extreme diets. There's other things I could mention here, but I thought that this would be a good one because a lot of women come to me and go, I've cut out like 20 things and it kind of got better, but now it's coming back. And it's not realistic to uphold this. I know you want to live life. You want to enjoy yourself sometimes. And just cutting out a bunch of foods is not addressing the root, because yes, it may temporarily lower some inflammation. However, if you have gut flora issues, you're emotionally eating, you've got hormone issues, etc., your body's overstimulating, you're drinking too much caffeine, you're over exercising, you're overbooked, cutting out certain foods is not going to help fully resolve and clear the skin. We want to work on directly supporting your gut health. We want to directly work on lowering inflammation, making sure your detoxification systems are working, specifically identifying your unique hormone imbalances and naturally, gently supporting them, and working on healing your relationship with food, regulating your nervous system, doing the mindset work. So to address, the true roots of your skin issues, we really want to understand what some of the, Band-Aids are. It's not your fault if you try these, if you're currently doing them. Again, we're all on a journey. It's just that I want you to really understand that there is a lot more here than just like one little recommendation. So it's really important that we understand that these are just going to temporarily suppress and not resolve the issues. So, this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to create this masterclass. It's 3 parts, 3 days. Day 1 of the skin masterclass, where we're going to identify the roots of your breakouts and help you clear your skin. What's at the roots of your acne, breakouts, eczema, and skin issues? So we're going to dive into the underlying causes of your skin issues. We're going to talk more in depth about the connections with hormones, gut issues, liver toxicity, inflammation, gut bacteria, and stress. Day 2, we're going to go into really in-depth skin mapping and talking about different kinds of acne, because there are quite a few different ones. So things like hormonal, fungal, bacterial, and inflammatory based acne and breakouts, as well as what is at the roots of the eczema, the rosacea. We are also going to talk more in depth about these conventional treatments, these quick fix Band-Aid solutions that I've been talking about, why they're not the solution and why they can actually make the breakouts worse, and what more like holistic approaches can do to help really give you relief and clear your skin. And then on day 3, we're going to talk a lot about the steps we can take, the practical, simple steps we can take to start clearing the skin, dealing with some of these symptoms, these self-sabotaging behaviors. And I'm going to give you some recommendations, and I'm going to also share, that there's a few other in-depth things to explore. So if you want to come and join us, if you come live, of course, I'm always interacting with the Zoom chat and answering questions and chatting with you as we go. And if you can't make it live, that is okay, because you will get lifetime access to the replays. It is $55 USD, regular $88. So you've got a nice savings there if you want to come and join us, or you know someone that could benefit. Come and join us for the skin masterclass. So lastly, what are the steps we can start to take to get clear skin? Honestly, if you have the means to do so, I highly encourage you to get support, to get proper education, to get hormone testing done, to have a thorough health gut assessment done, because this is deep rooted and there's usually multiple layers of imbalances going on that are fueling this. And trying to blindly diagnose on Google or read a book or do what a friend did or what an influencer is saying, which I don't suggest, because usually they're just being paid by companies to promote supplements and products. And even if they've been on a journey themselves, maybe some of them have benefit. I know one of the lovely women who is she's very sweet. She's an influencer who has recommended me. I really am appreciative of that. And she's actually done research and she's tried a lot of things herself before, like talking about what she's done herself. And she's always talking about, and like, you can try these things and also you might want to get help. Right. So there are some that have good intent, but sometimes, just make sure you're doing your homework and your research before you just try specific recommendations, because each person needs something a little different. And we don't want to make things worse. We want to make things better. right? I think that's really important. So get support if you want to come and reach out and talk more about the different programs available to help you with your skin, your eczema, your gut issues, emotional eating, hormone health, etc. You're welcome to reach out. I have shorter 2 and 3 month intro programs, and then we can get into the longer 4, 6, or 12-month journeys, depending on what you need and what feels the most aligned for you. So I'm happy to chat. Deal with the emotional eating. Oh my goodness. If you are binging, if you're emotionally eating and you're in self-sabotage with food, I highly encourage you to get support with that or to address that so that you can clear it out of the way, because it is sabotaging the healing of your skin and it is amplifying your symptoms, as we've been talking about. So keep listening to this podcast. Make sure that you come and subscribe to the newsletter at amberapproved.ca, book a body freedom consultation, whatever you want to do. But if you're on a self-led journey, learn and get as much information as you can, right? But sometimes getting support is the best thing we can do, because we'll be able to shift and heal at a faster pace, not to rush the journey, but because we have someone there to support us, hold us accountable, help us deal with the ego mindset, which is a huge part of our healing and what blocks us, and why we can stay in some of those old behaviors. Deal with the emotional eating though. I also have other smaller masterclasses around identifying your emotional eating triggers. There's a 5-week emotional eating program you can do that self-study, but things to really help you on your way if you're wanting, a smaller investment, if you don't want to explore one-on-one support. Regulating your nervous system and reflecting on what may be overstimulating your body. Are you drinking a lot of caffeine? Are you doing a ton of cardio and you're afraid to slow down and rest even though you're exhausted? Are you overbooked? Are you overcompensating? Are you over people pleasing and proving, and then the perfection mentalities? If you're overwhelmed and overbooked, right, or you're overstimulating with a lot of caffeines and things like that, it will keep stressing at your system and fueling your skin issues. A lot of the women I work with are over exercising actually when we first start working together. And then they're open to balancing things out to help their body heal and regulate hormones, reduce inflammation, etc. And they start to see their skin clear right away. They feel less retention. They feel less puffy. Their digestion improves. It's very powerful. So with all of that being said, obviously everyone's circumstance is different. Not everyone has to adjust their movement routine. But for some, they are over caffeinating, and that is really contributing because the cortisol is just staying through the roof. So what is going on with your nervous system? Are you taking any time for self-care? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you well hydrated? Are you nourishing your body, in a way that's going to be supportive of your skin? There are many factors here, and sometimes it's information overload and it can be overwhelming. And so if you have the means to get support so you can get the direct answers and recommendations, I highly encourage you to do so if you feel called. I think hydration and making sure you're getting your 2 liters of water a day can be a great place to start. Mindful eating practice to make sure you're chewing your food thoroughly is going to help you better digest. Getting enough sleep, making sure you're having daily bowel movements. These are all things that you can check in on and make sure that you're also doing. Being more mindful of, less refined sugar, less processed food. Yes, it's about balance. And at the same time, if we're constantly putting garbage in the body is going to react and the symptoms are going to keep amping up. Right. So what is it that you want to start working on to take steps? Maybe your step is you've been seeing a dermatologist and not getting anywhere. And now you want to take steps holistically. Right. So those are some first steps that you can take. If you want more recommendations, I will be giving them in the Skin Masterclass. So I hope you will come and join us. It's going to be really eye-opening. It's going to be life-changing for some of you because you're going to finally get the answers that you have been searching for, based on these skin issues. So come and join us for the Skin Masterclass or book a 30-minute body freedom consult to talk about support. I'm happy to do so. And if I can assist you to clear skin, relief from eczema, and all these other things we've been talking about, hormone imbalancing, lowering inflammation, overcoming binge eating, building the confidence and the freedom within yourself, it is a pleasure and honor. The door is open. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. The show notes can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/431. You can also go there to sign up for the Skin Masterclass, book your 30-minute body freedom consult, and get all the other details from today's episode. You can also go right to amberapproved.ca, click the link for online programs, and the Skin Masterclass is there. If you're wondering if you're struggling with emotional eating and you're not sure, you can take the free emotional eating quiz at amberapproved.ca, and all the other details are there to learn more about body freedom, more about me and what I have to offer, and of course the programs and the support available for you if it feels like something you are interested in. So as I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health, your healing, clearing your skin, learning more about your body, your imbalances, whatever's going on. So I really encourage you to take a step now And as always, it's a pleasure to host you. Thank you for being here with me today. And I can't wait to see who comes forth for the Skin Masterclass and for support. And I can't wait to chat with you all again and see you all again for a brand new episode next Sunday. Take care. Sending you so much love.